Hello, everyone. My name is Jessica Nettles, and I'm the Community Outreach Liaison for the VNA. I would like to welcome you all to our third installment of our Hospice Webinar Series. So today's topic is the benefits of music therapy in hospice. So music therapy is truly one of my favorite programs here at the VNA, so I'm very excited about today's presentation. So the purpose of these hospice webinars is to help our community get a better understanding of hospice support and the services that we offer here at the VNA. So at the end of today's presentation, we're going to have a Q&A session, and we're going to answer some of the questions that we received from our participants when they signed up for the webinar. And we also have a chat box. So if any questions come to mind during the presentation, please add those to the chat and we'll go over those as well at the end of our presentation today. So today's speaker is Maureen Burkhart. She is a board certified music therapist who obtained her Bachelor of Science degree in music therapy at Augsburg University in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and a Bachelor of Arts in Music with minors in Business and Psychology from St. Mary's University in Winona, Minnesota. She is also a neurologic music therapist, meaning she has advanced training with working with individuals who have a neurologic condition using research-based techniques to improve sensor motor, speech and language, and cognitive domains. Maureen started the VNA music therapy program in 2015 after receiving a $100,000 grant from Impact 100. The program has grown since then to 5 music therapists serving VNA Hospice, home health, private care, community patients, and families. All right, Maureen, take it away.
All right, thank you, Jessica. Good morning, everybody. I'm so glad you're able to join us. Hopefully you'll get a better understanding of music therapy specific related to hospice today, what we're going to talk about. So a lot of people don't know what music therapy is. We're a smaller field. There's about 9,000 to 10,000 music therapists in the US, and that is such a baby compared to other clinical disciplines. So people have often never heard of us before. So the technical definition is, it is the clinical and evidence-based use of music interventions to accomplish individualized goals within a therapeutic relationship by a credentialed professional who has completed an approved music therapy program. So it is a mouthful, but the whole point of that is to emphasize that music itself is therapeutic. So we can listen to music and it can be very therapeutic for us, but to be music therapy, it has to be provided by a board certified music therapist. And the importance that hopefully you'll gain an understanding throughout my presentation of why that's so important, because of the way music affects us physically, emotionally, spiritually, cognitively. And all of our interventions we utilize and the goals we set are based on research. So just for fun, I'm going to play a little clip here. This is a patient that in the image you see here, he was a musician at heart, a poet, an artist. He was an artist, a painter, and we just had so much fun in our sessions. And I think that's important to remember, that hospice is not always sad. It can be really fun. And I'm just going to share a little clip with you of one of his favorite songs he taught me. So I'm going to change my settings to music so you can hear it better.
To you, sweetheart.
Oh, sorry. Let's start that again.
To you, sweetheart. From the bottom of my heart. Keep a smile on your lips, brush the tears from your eyes. One more aloha, then it's time for goodbye. To you, sweetheart, aloha. In dreams I'll be with you tonight, and I'll pray for that day
So the beautiful thing I love about that song is that aloha in Hawaii means hello and goodbye. And so that became such a beautiful anthem for our sessions, and that even though we're saying goodbye, we'll soon be saying hello again. A lot of fun. Oops, there we go. So music therapist, how do you become a music therapist? It is a bachelor's degree. Specifically in music therapy. There are over 90 colleges and universities in the United States right now that offer music therapy degrees. You can also obtain your master's and doctorates in music therapy, and it is an international field where countries all over the world have their own credentials and educational programs for music therapy. Once you complete your schooling, which is a lot of psychology, music theory, music therapy research background, and obviously, instrument play, so you have to be proficient in voice, guitar, piano, and percussion. Once that schooling is complete, then you have to complete a 6-month internship to help complete your clinical supervised hours. So you do practicum experiences and then the internship, and that equals up to 1,200 clinical supervised hours. After that, then you can sit for the board certification exam. And then just like any other discipline, we have continuing education where we have to keep up our credentials on the most latest research and understandings of how we utilize what we do. We have an American Music Therapy Association, that's a national association, and then we have our certification board for music therapists that help keep our standards. So just to touch on, a lot of people, like I said in the beginning, music is therapeutic. And why is music therapy more beneficial than just playing recorded music in the background? And a lot of it has to do with, one, our skilled understanding of how music affects us. And so we can use that as our tool to help our patients and families. And that therapeutic relationship is so important, but also how we can adapt the music in the moment to meet the needs. So for example, when we actively engage in the music making or participation, it actually has shown in research to reduce pain and anxiety and nausea. So recorded music can maybe help distract from that as well, but the active participation actually has a more powerful effect in that. And that can be through singing, instrument play, discussion. It has the ability to, our sessions are about decreasing isolation. So again, that interaction, that person-to-person interaction, trying to create positive experiences between the patient and their family as well, and helping be that facilitator for that. We use our skill set and knowledge and our vast repertoire, specifically in hospice, to help with our emotional goals, both verbally and non-verbally. I was going to share a little example with you. So I get asked all the time what kind of music we use, and most often we use preferred music. And the research shows the most nostalgic, powerful music for us is our teens and our early 20s. So we often are using that music in our sessions because that will trigger the strongest meaningful emotions at times for nostalgic purposes, reminiscing, life review, finding meaning and purpose. But there are times where we utilize non-preferred music because what we're trying to achieve. So there is a song for everything. And you all know, I'm sure that you've listened to music and you connected with it because the words resonated what you were feeling and validated what you're going through and made you feel like you weren't the only one experiencing that. And so that can be really powerful in our therapy sessions to help facilitate, open up discussion and break down those barriers and help families understand and process what they're going through, both positive, fun, engaging ways, but also dealing with the emotions that we're going through. So I was just going to share a little example with you. You've probably maybe never heard of this song before, called Soon You'll Get Better. And there are times in hospice where the family is really struggling, rightfully so, to say goodbye, accept that the loved one is dying, and they need to feel validated in that they're not ready to let go, and that's okay. And I think this song is such a beautiful example of helping them, validate that they're not alone in this feeling. So I was going to play a little excerpt for you. I know delusion when I see it in the mirror. You like the nicer nurses, you make the best of a bad deal. I just pretend it isn't real. I'll paint the kitchen neon, I'll brighten up the sky. I know I'll never get it, there's not a day that I won't try. And I say to you, ooh, soon you'll get better. Ooh, soon you'll get better. Ooh, you'll get better soon. 'Cause you have to. And I hate to make this all about me, but who am I supposed to talk to? What am I supposed to do if there's no you? So you can see how powerful putting lyrics of something we're feeling and going through to music can even more bring out the emotions that we're feeling and make us comfortable to express those emotions, and discuss and work through what we're feeling. And I think that, to caution, you might have a friend or a loved one where you hear a song and say, oh, I think this would be really powerful for you because it's what you're going through. But to remind you, again, it's that therapeutic aspect, because music therapists are trained in counseling skills to then, once we bring out these really strong emotions triggered by the music, we can help the patient and family discuss, move through, validate, reflect, and come to peace with those emotions as well as letting them out. So that's really important too. But there really is a song for everything. So on a lighter note, I didn't put the lyrics up for this one, but just this week, I thought this was a fun example of how, again, not using preferred music can be really powerful. So I'm working with a mother and daughter, and they have such a beautiful, strong relationship. And we take into consideration all aspects of their lives, their personalities when we're choosing the music as well. So this patient has a really big, fun personality, and her whole life has been about lifting others up, providing support, and just being, we like to use the word fabulous. And it's a sad moment right now for them as the patient is declining, but it also is a beautiful opportunity to remember their amazing relationship and the great times they've had. So I pulled out this song the other day, and when the song ended, we were laughing and we were smiling because it was a perfect example of how their relationship with each other was. So just a little excerpt. You might have a mom, she might be the bomb, but ain't nobody got a mom like mine. Her love's to the end, she's my best friend. Ain't nobody got a mom like mine. She's my world, she's my heart, there's no denying. I'm her girl, no matter what. Even when I'm lying, she loving me, loving me, love me, love me, love. She loves me like no one else. I'm telling you, telling you, telling you, telling you now. She taught me how to love myself. So just a fun example of how hospice, yes, can be very heavy and emotional, but it also can be really uplifting and fun and a beautiful reflection on relationships and what we've gone through in our lives. So going back to just a couple of the interventions, we also do legacy projects, which I'll share some more examples with you later. So, legacy projects are something tangible we create with the patient or the family that helps with anticipatory grief, but also just creating something meaningful that they can remember and recall and find comfort in. So often it's songwriting. We've created musical autobiographies with songs from all of the amazing points in their life to remember, or maybe song dedications where they chose a song that reminded them of their dad, and a song that they wanted to dedicate to their daughter, and a song they want to dedicate to their son, and then we put the album together. So the possibilities are endless when it comes to legacy projects. And in those examples I was sharing with the mom one or the Soon You'll Get Better, we also sometimes in the moment will allow the families and help facilitate to change the lyrics. So taking a song and just changing the lyrics a little bit so that it's more personalized and individual for them can be also a very meaningful experience in helping them understand what they're going through. We often get asked a lot, what does a session look like? So music therapist at the VNA is a part of the interdisciplinary care team. So we get a referral from the team if somebody is interested in music therapy, whether it's just kind of learning about it, seeing if it's right for them, or they for sure want it. So we go to wherever they live, and that could be in their home, that could be in a nursing home, that could be in an assisted living. And we meet them and complete an assessment. And a lot of the things in our assessment is, yes, musical preferences, a little bit of their background, but also what's most important to them right now. So are they experiencing a lot of pain? Is just spending time with quality time with their family most important to them? Do they have breathing issues? So we determine kind of what our plan of care looks like based on what their wishes and goals are and their needs are, but also the clinical aspects of what they're dealing with so that we can help with those. Then we plan interventions based on those goals for our sessions with them and whether or not the family's involved at that time of visit. Those can change. So I might do my assessment and the goal we have is to create a legacy project, let's say for their grandchildren. I once wrote a song with a grandfather to the melody of Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. And instead of those lyrics, we changed them to be individualized for each of his 2 grandchildren he had, with a message of love and his hopes for them. So that might be our goal when we meet and we decide that's what we want to work on. But then I get there and they're having extreme shortness of breath or pain. So my session won't look like what we planned originally, and I will adapt to meet that need, and we'll use the music to help relax their body, slow their heart rate and train it to the music, distract from pain, whether it be through guided meditation or focusing on the music, deep breathing. So the sessions are hard to say black and white what they will look like because it's always in the moment assessing what the needs are. But music therapists have the ability to work on all domains of the whole person. So we can address physical goals, we can help with pain, shortness of breath, we can help with emotional goals, anxiety, depression, fear. We can help with spiritual goals. So there's a strong correlation to music and our spiritual beliefs. There's actually a lot of research that shows when we sing together as a group, we're releasing oxytocin, which is this amazing bonding hormone that makes us feel closer to each other. And so it makes sense that music helps us feel closer to our faith system as well. So sometimes our music is to help validate and connect them to their spiritual faith or a form of prayer. So there's a lot of different aspects that we can work on in our sessions. And the beauty of it is it's individualized to each person. So it's hard to say black and white what those sessions will look like. So legacy projects are one of my favorite things to do. And this is why we always try to get people on service sooner than later, because then you have the opportunity to do these amazing things with the care team. When we are working on legacy project, it's always about what's most important to the patient. And often it's, expressing love and hopeful thoughts to their family. But there's a couple other things that are really important in end of life, saying, forgive me, and I forgive you, and thank you. And this patient in particular, it was really important to him to say to his son, forgive me, because he worked as a chef his whole life, traveling all the time. And, being a chef, worked late hours into the night and didn't get to see his son very often as he was growing up. And that really affected him, and he had a hard time, wanted to have closure with that. And so we actually wrote a song together about these feelings of wanting to express his apology to his son, but then, also say, I'm so proud of you. So I'm going to play a little excerpt of that.
Wanted to give you and your mama a better life. I worked long hours and was hardly ever home. Always going, going, going with my life. But I can still think of the memories when you wasn't always there. I know we had some difficult times, and I wish I'd done some things differently, but it made me realize you were the most important thing in my life.
part towards the end here.
An amazing father and a wonderful son. It means so much to me that you continue to call and check on me.
I'm so proud of you, son.
Forgive me, I was.
So the beautiful thing about that is whenever the patient is willing, we always try to capture their voice on the recordings, because that's what's going to be most meaningful to their family, is having their loved one's voice to hear and listen to even after they're gone. This next song I'm going to play for you, I'm going to keep it on the audio share right now so you can hear it. Joe was a hardcore, stoic man who had a hard time expressing his emotions outwardly, and he had several children, and even though he loved them very much, he didn't say it very often because it wasn't who he was, it wasn't his personality, but he did love them, and he wanted to make sure that they knew that. So we actually worked together to write a song for his children to hear, in which he expressed his love for them. And also then we wrote a second song about, you know, not wanting them to be sad, and because, as you know, I lived a life that I wanted and now it's over and gone, but my memory will live on forever. So I'm gonna play a little clip of that song by Joe.
Something I think you should know. My soul is left, and what you see is just a shell. I've gone. I'm not here anymore. I don't want you to cry or feel sad for me.
Don't be sad, don't cry for me. I live the life I wanted it to be. Don't be sad, don't cry for me.
Because as you know, I have lived the life that I have wanted. And now it's over, and I'm gone, and my memory will live on forever.
Don't be sad, don't cry for me. I live the life I wanted it to be. Don't be sad, don't cry for me.
I love you all, and I want to thank you for being my children and a big part of my life. It was because of you that my life was so meaningful. Never forget how much each and every one of you have meant to me.
Don't be sad, don't cry for me. I live the life I wanted it to be. Don't be sad, don't cry for me. Don't be sad, don't cry for me.
I love you.
So that was Joe's song, and as I shared before, whenever possible, we always try to get their voice, because that's going to be what's most meaningful to the family. Joe actually requested, and we played that song at his funeral. Really beautiful moment. So, you know, I'm in sharing all of that, these amazing legacy projects, I also want to emphasize too that sometimes music therapy can be passive for the patient and family. They don't have to actively engage. They don't have to write songs and parodies. It can be as much as literally just enjoying the music or relaxing to the music. At this time, you know, going through end-of-life experiences, so much is out of our control. And maybe we are the opportunity for control. So letting them choose the songs, if they want relaxing or upbeat music, as much autonomy as we can give them is really important at this time. And then also just some distraction from everything else that's going on, because maybe every day is so focused on your end of life experiences and everybody coming in and taking care of you. But then here's a moment to just forget about all that and enjoy life and enjoy pleasures. So it can be passive as well. And I want to just emphasize that, because you don't have to be a musician to benefit from music therapy. And both of these patients who wrote the music were not musicians. We help facilitate the songwriting to whatever level they want. So do they want to write the lyrics, or maybe we just ask a ton of questions and write all their answers down, and then we take their words and put it into lyrics. So however much they want to be involved, they can be. Always the patient and family are in control of their plan of care and what we do together. So I'm sure you've heard music is extremely powerful for people who have dementia, and there's a lot of reasons for this. Music is one of the very few things we do in our lives that engages every single area of the brain. So when dementia affects every person differently in what parts of the brain it is affecting, music almost always still seems to be able to connect with them because of the way music is stored everywhere. So often I've had patients who no longer can talk still sing to songs. Patients who don't remember their own name but still remember every word to a song from their childhood. And why does this matter? Consider, in a world of unfamiliar situations, people, environments, stimulation, all of a sudden there's something that is familiar, and that is so comforting. And so it can reduce anxiety, it can reduce sundowning behavioral issues, it can elevate their mood. And even though maybe 30 minutes later they don't remember that I was there, that emotion stays with them. So it can be really powerful in helping improve their quality of lives. Also, I've had a family once tell me that they got to see their father again through the music therapy sessions, because normally he doesn't know he doesn't see them, but this was a person who loved music and danced and engaged in it, and the music brought that out in him again. And the son said, I got to see my dad like again, because we've been so disconnected because of the disease. So it's just amazing how powerful music can be. So I'm going to try and share this video clip and what the music meant to this patient and to her husband. Let's see if we can turn up the volume a little. So hopefully you're able to hear that okay, but I showed in the beginning how she doesn't really verbalize anymore. She does a lot of nodding and yes. And when the music starts, all of a sudden she lights up and she starts talking again, and she was singing with me. And not only is that really good for the patient, but the spouse was tearful because he said he hadn't heard her speak that many words in years. So it's really powerful that it can also be beneficial for the family too. So one other thing I want to share that we do related to legacy projects is sometimes we will offer to record the heartbeat of the patient. So there are digital stethoscopes out there that when we record the heartbeat, then we can put it into our computer in an audio track, and there's different ways we utilize it. So we might take the heartbeat and use it as the rhythmic track to an original song or a favorite song, and then give that recording to family. So here's a little snippet of what that sounds like. I suppose I should change the audio. Hang on, so you can hear it. So it's very faint, but it's in the background. The heartbeat is playing. I think the volume's kind of hard on here, but this one's more louder. You can hear it. Sometimes we utilize the heartbeat to help the patient entrain to that natural rhythm in their body and help relax their muscles, slow their breathing rate, slow their heart rate, whatever it may be. Here's an example of that. We just added some really soothing music, very simple. The heartbeat, we talk them through taking nice deep breaths, and just focusing on that rhythm, helping their own heart rate come down and their breathing slow. So just lastly, one more patient example. Let me change back to my slideshow so you can see it. Sometimes it's really hard for us to articulate why music therapy can be so powerful and so meaningful. And recently we had a family member who's so generous to write into the newspaper of why music therapy has been so beneficial to him and his family. So I'm just going to read that for you. My mother spends most of her days and nights asleep in her small bedroom in the memory care unit of a Vero Beach nursing home. She's 88 and suffers from dementia. Her spiral down over the past few years has been agonizing for me and my 2 middle school age boys to watch. A bright spot, actually a glowing, upbeat, shining spot. Each week is the time for the 4 of us spend with a music therapist from the Visiting Nurse Association. Each week for about an hour, I, my sons, and therapist Emma von Weisenberg conduct a jam session in my mother's cozy room. My mother comes alive as we play instruments, learn musical notes, and go back in time to music my mother remembers. Sometimes we just make funky noise with Emma's rolling crate of instruments. Sometimes we create a storyline to go with the funky noise. My sons, 11 and almost 13, lose themselves in the concerts, and my mother delights in seeing them and interacting with them for that hour. Emma is spectacular with my mother, far more patient with her than I am. Emma has become the glue that binds our musical notes and our hearts for an hour each week. All of which is to say, I am so appreciative to the VNA for this program that sends a small group of music therapists into the community to minister to those who spend their days locked in a vacuum of forgotten memories. The VNA is largely donation funded. I don't know how much it costs to run the music therapy program or how long it has been around or whether it will remain, but I do know it is making a mark on this family's life and will never be forgotten. So just very powerful. Like I have a hard time reading that without getting emotional because, we're obviously very passionate about what we do, but sometimes it's really hard for people to understand that we're not just coming in and being entertainment, that this truly can make a difference in somebody's lives. So I'm going to open it up to the questions now. There you go.
All right, Maureen, thank you so much for helping us understand how our music therapy program benefits our patients. That was truly our wonderful presentation. So now we're going to move on to our Q&A session. So Maureen, we received some questions from our participants when they signed up for the webinar. So let's answer some of those questions here. First one, does the VNA Music Therapy Program accept volunteers to work with our patients and their families?
So we would love volunteers. The struggle is when you provide music, we would love volunteers we have utilized volunteers for recorded music. So we train the volunteers we currently have. In the past, we've done sessions to kind of show them how they can use recorded music to engage with the patient and their loved ones. We would love volunteers who are also musicians. We haven't really been fortunate enough to find that, but if anybody knows anyone who maybe plays guitar or is capable of hauling around a piano, has a large repertoire, because there are definitely instances where a patient doesn't necessarily need music therapy, but they would greatly benefit from live music on a regular basis. So we are very open and accepting of anyone who would be interested in volunteering.
Okay, thank you, Maureen. So how would they go about contacting you if they are interested?
Sure. They can either call a VNA number and ask for the music therapy department, or they can reach me on my email if they want, mburkart@vnatc.com. But if you want to just call the main VNA number and ask for the music therapy department, you'll get a hold of us.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Mhm.
So do you feel all types of music can be beneficial at end of life? So for example, if a patient enjoyed heavy metal, rap music, is it appropriate to have it on in the room softly?
Yeah, definitely. It's always, you got to be cautious because sometimes at the very, very end of life, overstimulation can agitate. But for the most part, music that is very familiar to us, they've shown in brain scans that familiarity at the end of life is still really powerful in eliciting the brain. And I think that is really important to take into mind, that your voice and music that they love and is familiar can be very comforting no matter what that music is. So the nice thing about music therapy is we can adapt it. So maybe it is a heavy metal song or an AC/DC song, and I can take it with the guitar and adapt it to still sound softer stimulation wise. So that's why music therapists are so powerful. But as far as recorded music, yes, at a lower volume, I think that is fine. Just always keep in mind, if you see agitation, maybe try without the music for a while. But for the most part, yes, any music is beneficial. I have had crazy stories. There was one session I did where the daughter asked for me to play Earl Had to Die by the Dixie Chicks, or the Chicks. And it cracked me up so much, but it was so important to them because they used to jam out and clean the kitchen together, the mother and daughter. And that was one of the most special songs to them. So I love that I was in the room singing this song about, killing a domestic husband. But you just never know like what music is most meaningful to them. And to me, that's what matters.
Yeah, thank you. So what sort of music do you feel is most beneficial when someone has no musical preferences?
So we always take into consideration demographics. So you don't want to make assumptions or stereotypes, but if they have a Christian background, then we can probably assume that they would benefit from hymns. If they lived in the South, maybe country music. So we try to take some demographic input in there, always the families first, like we'll reach out to the family to see if we can find out a preference. But in other worst case scenarios, like if we really don't know the demographic of music that they like, then we might just do instrumental, because you don't want to always make an assumption of what music would be most beneficial to them.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Maureen. Have you ever encountered a situation where you thought music therapy wouldn't be appropriate?
Yes, many times actually. It's less common than it is common, but there are situations where music therapy is not appropriate. So, for example, often we get referrals for music therapy for a patient who was a professional musician their whole lives, like truly professional musicians. And more often than not, they don't want music therapy because it reminds them of what they can no longer do. And that's valid. So we're not always appropriate. Sometimes we'll be working with, for example, just recently I had a patient who had dementia, and you'd think music would always be beneficial, but in this instance, it was making her more confused and agitated, trying to engage her during the therapeutic process than it was helping her. I've also had patients with dementia who maybe the music triggers such a strong emotion that we're, again, not being beneficial versus helpful, because you can't verbally help them process why the music is bringing on such a strong emotion. So we're really mindful in the sense that like music is not always beneficial in every scenario, and it might not always be appropriate.
Okay. Thank you. Can you speak on what other populations music therapists work with?
Yeah, so after you complete your schooling and your board certification, you really can work with any population. And then music therapists often specialize in what they're passionate about. Music therapists work in public school systems with kids with special needs. They work in hospitals. There is a growing number of music therapists working in neonatal care units, rehabilitation centers, veteran clinics. Music therapists, I mean, we work with all populations, but that's often predominantly where you see them working.
Okay. Thank you, Maureen. So Sue, our marketing and communications manager, has been monitoring our chat. Sue, did we have any questions come through the chat during the presentation?
Nope, no additional questions came through. But
Okay.
if anybody has any, even afterwards, they can always feel free to email any of the emails that they've gotten, and we'll respond to that, or just to our through our website. You can email it.
Okay. Do any of our participants today have any questions? If you do have a question, you can feel free to unmute yourselves.
I'd like to add, I forgot to mention, I have it sitting right next to me. We are proficient in voice, guitar, piano, and percussion. And because guitar is so portable, it's what we often utilize in our visits in hospice. But we have a vast array of instruments that we bring into the sessions to engage actively with the patients and families. And so I was going to show you this amazing, well, it won't let me because it's not a face, drum, but you maybe can hear it. We are really fortunate. We've received a lot of grants and donations that we have fun instruments like this happy drum. There we go. I just got to put it next to my face. Kind of. Instruments that don't require any skill set whatsoever. And whatever note you play is going to be beautiful. And again, the more we actively engage the patients and the families, the more beneficial it'll probably be. So we utilize a lot of different instruments in our sessions as well.
Okay. Well, if we don't have any additional questions, I want to thank you all for joining us today. If you want to learn more about the VNA, please like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, sign up for our e-newsletters on our website. This webinar has been recorded and will be available on our YouTube page in the next few days or so. If you want to watch this presentation again, or if you want to share it with a friend. If you have any additional questions that come to mind, please feel free to reach out to me. My name again is Jessica Nettles, and I could be reached at jnettles, that's JNETTLES at VNATC.com. So thank you all again for joining us, and have a great day.